Hello, hello, good evening. Howard University alumni. I see we're still coming into the Zoom room, so we're going to give it a couple of moments while everyone joins. But let me just wish all of you a good evening and welcome to this Alumni Insight 2021. It's called a conference call, but this is like a Zoom call, but more or less it's a conversation on university updates, hosted by the Department of Alumni Relations at Howard University and featuring Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Tashni-Ann Dubroy. I am your moderator for the evening. I'm happy to be here. I'm Jennifer Thomas, Associate Professor in the Department of Media, Journalism, and Film, Journalism Sequence Coordinator, and of course, I am a Howard University alumna from the School of C, Broadcast Journalism, former Miss Howard University, and I am very honored to be here with you for this very important and impactful conversation with Dr. Dubroy. And before we get started, I would like to give her bio. So for those of you who are not familiar with this powerhouse of our Executive Vice President, you can get a chance to know her. So let me just briefly go over an abbreviated bio. For Dr. Tashni-Ann Dubroy, serves as the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer here at Howard University. She currently oversees facilities management, IT, campus safety, enrollment management, auxiliary services, environmental health and safety, process optimization, and university strategy. Under her leadership, Howard University improved its financial aid standing with the Department of Education, elevating from heightened cash monitoring level 2 to level 1 status within a 9-month period. She managed the university through a weather-related crisis related to the operation of its steam plant and is now leading a steam plant modernization effort. Dr. Dubroy is leading an IT overhaul that includes improvement of Howard University's core network as part of a partnership with IBM, and is installing a new university-wide enterprise resource planning system. She most recently served as the 17th president of the mother of all historically Black universities in the South, Shaw University. And during her tenure at Shaw, she was awarded Female President of the Year by the HBCU Digest. Appointed in August 2015 during the university's sesquicentennial celebratory year, Dr. Dubroy's administration positioned Shaw as a resource to the city of Raleigh through entrepreneurial innovation, civic presence, and support for students and surrounding communities. Dr. Dubroy began her career as a research scientist at BASF, the world's largest chemical company. She quickly ascended to the position of global technology analyst, and after 2 years was appointed to serve chemical procurement manager, where she managed a strategic sourcing budget of $35 million. And prior to joining Shaw, she also co-founded Tea and Honey Blends, a hair care company that manufactured and retailed natural hair care products, and co-owned downtown Raleigh's Element Beauty Bar. Her entrepreneurial success landed her on the pages of Money Magazine and Bloomberg's Business Week. We are very proud to have her with us here at Howard University. Dr. Dubroy earned her PhD in physical organic chemistry from North Carolina State University in 2007 and holds an MBA from Rutgers University. Prior to her executive appointment, the Shaw University alumna served as special assistant to the president, chair of Shaw University's Department of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, and as an associate professor of chemistry. So as we mentioned at the beginning, we have so much ground to cover when it comes to operations, university IT, facilities, infrastructure, enrollment, and of course, academic excellence. So without further ado, I am going to hand it over to Dr. Dubroy, and if you can please just give her a great big bison welcome. Good evening, Dr. Dubroy. I think you're on mute. I think we're still on mute.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Professor Thomas. Good evening to you too, and good evening to everyone who is watching as part of the alumni program.
I know you have prepared a lot of information for us. So Bison family, get ready. And Dr. Dubroy is going to do a presentation. We have received several questions from you that we will ask throughout her presentation.
Lovely. I'll take your cue. And if Bilal wants to tee up any slides that you have on your end, Bilal, that would be helpful. Would you like to start by stating a few of the questions that you received? You can move forward on the slide, Bilal.
Yes.
All right. So in terms of what it is that we do in the operations realm, as you can imagine, everything that is done in ops has to be tied to the strategic plan. And so you asked pretty good questions, and I'll try to frame those questions, especially as it relates to how it is that we are moving Howard forward. If you're on campus, you will hear that phrase, and it's said proudly and often, because we want to ensure that our campus community is laser focused on how we spend our dollars and that we are constantly using it towards how we fund Howard Forward 2024. It's our strategic plan that will take us from here until that time. Next slide. As Professor Thomas mentioned, all of these areas fall under the operational umbrella: enrollment management, facilities, real estate, strategic planning, business continuity, enterprise risk management, campus police, sustainability, auxiliary services, environmental health and safety, and of course, information technology. All righty, if you tee up those questions, and I'll be able to walk through each one.
Okay, so I wanted to start off, if we may, begin with several questions we have regarding enrollment management. So I'll just read through some, and these are some that alumni had presented ahead of time. So the first question was, is there a plan in place for a modernized welcome center for admissions to use for recruitment? That was the first question. Okay. Are there any projects that alumni can donate to right now to help with the costs? What is the impact of our overall campus having on alumni donations? So those were two. We have a couple of more. Morehouse College is addressing community educational disparity by launching an online program to help Black males with some credit complete their college education. And the question was, has Howard given any thought to establishing a similar program? And two other questions under this topic, which I think this is the big question, as we would say in news, we're bearing the lead here. When do you expect the university to fully reopen? And then the last question in this section, are there any post-pandemic operational changes, such as temperature checks and student living arrangements, such as one student to a room, that may be permanently instituted once the university fully reopens?
All right, I'll do my best. So if we move on to the next slide, I'll show a few things here. Some of them are directly related to the questions that were asked, and others I've inserted as well. In terms of a modernized welcome center, we are working on it. It turns out that we are currently looking to renovate Effingham. I don't know if anybody remembers that block along Georgia Avenue that is closely located in close proximity to the Burr Gymnasium. Once we complete the renovation of the Effingham building, we expect that we'll have a welcome center in there that is dedicated for the use by the admissions staff. And in terms of what alumni can help with, I don't want to speak about about VP Bennett's wheelhouse, nor do I want to speak about Dr. Frederick's wheelhouse. But I would say that if you're talking specifically about ways to help, especially as it relates to our students and the enrollment management space, we are always seeking ways to invest in our students through funding scholarships for them. And it remains one of our primary needs. College affordability continues to be, very difficult for our students and their families. And the cost of college is escalating. Not only do we want better facilities at the university, and not only are we investing in better technology for the university, but it comes at a significant cost to us. And in turn, some of that is borne by our students and the families that we serve. But in other ways, we're also using philanthropic contributions to significantly fund the vision for the university. And that's where we need you. Every new building that is built has a price tag attached to it. And so I would say that alumni contributions would add significant value when we are funding our robust real estate vision. In terms of the question asked about how it is that we are funding programs that support various pockets of our student population, we currently have a student population that is about 25% on any given day related to the female population compared to the male population. And I'm going to walk through a few of these slides now. But the first one that I'm showing here just talks about the trajectory of student enrollment at Howard University. We had a robust intention of increasing the number of students enrolled on our campus to 10,000 by 2024. At the time that we laid out that vision, we were not anticipating that we would have been able to surpass it last year, actually. And so we nailed about 10,900 students by the fall of the 2020 semester. And we anticipate that we'll be able to increase the number of students significantly. We brought in the largest freshman enrollment class in the fall of 24-14, and now we are going to hold steady at 2,300 for this cohort. If you go to the next slide. And I'm just showing here what the 10-year trend, the look back trend is like. Over the years, you've seen that we've had fluctuations in the student enrollment, and I'm just demonstrating that by fall 2020, we were able to have the highest enrollment compared to the last decade's worth of data. So it's been pretty significant for the university. And of course, as you can imagine, now we've got a stretch goal. We're now looking to build our enrollment to about 12,500 students, with the majority of the population being built through the graduate and professional space, rather than significantly depending on undergraduate students for building out that enrollment capacity. It's, as I mentioned, it's in tune with our strategic plan for us to do so. Next slide. And I'd mentioned that on any given day, it's a ratio that is about 3/4 of the population being female and 1/4 of the population being male. And this is one of the areas that I'd say that we are working on. We're trying to figure out where the guys are, but I must say, this didn't happen recently. This has been historic for Howard. So our alumni may remember that the representation on the campus has been significantly in the female department. And so now we're looking to see how it is that we can strategically partner with organizations that cater to developing males who matriculate into college. As you know, there is a dearth of male populations that are graduating across the nation. And so we're looking into how it is that we can be a solution nationwide. And not only do we matriculate young men when they come here, but we've got to ensure that they graduate as well. Our sisters are doing pretty well in terms of matriculation and following through to graduation. And we have to ensure that we're doing the same thing with the male population. We think we can do it, and we're putting up pilots now to demonstrate that success. I'm also showing here just where our students are coming from, all over the world, with Nigeria being the most significant international population. But as you can see, there has been a significant decrease in the amount of international students that we have on our campus compared to what it was like in former years. And the proportions fluctuate. We usually have the top 4 or so schools being consistent, but over the years, it has certainly fluctuated. Nepal has sent a very significant amount of their students to Howard University over the years, and it was word of mouth marketing, nothing that the university did intentionally, but these are the trends that we're capturing now. Next slide. Oh, I was asked about, prior to moving on, I was asked about the university fully reopening. So I want to use the correct terms. Right now we are open. So there is an on-campus footprint, but it is largely populated by our medical students and our professional students. And they have been quite active on our campus. And what they're really providing for us is an idea of how it is that we can better prepare for a larger campus density. And we're getting to see student behavior. And when I say that, I don't mean it from a maternalistic approach, but I'm just talking about how it is that students are interacting on campus, you know, what kind of needs they have. Are our signs beneficial to them? Are the healthcare practices that we're doing on campus now at their optimum? Is our testing capacity at its optimum? We're using that type of data from our current cohort of students, and we'll be able to better inform our strategy as we ramp up campus density. The next time that you'll see a significant increase is going to be in the summertime, especially for the second summer session, when we intend to bring a large population of our students back on campus. And I say large, but it's relative, probably about 20% of our student population. And then for the fall is when you would see our numbers possibly return to our usual campus density. However, I must add that there's so much that we have to do to watch our local evolution of the pandemic and of local law. I get it, other states have picked up the pace in various manners, but we are within the district and we're within the confines of what district law dictates. And so we are working with the districts, we're in close contact with them, with other member universities who are in the consortium. And we want to ensure that we put our students and faculty and staff safety first. So if the pandemic evolves in a manner that doesn't allow us to reopen safely, then we won't do that. We certainly have a president who is a surgeon, and that has really benefited us in terms of our response. And so it's also been beneficial to have faculty and staff and students on our campus who are in the medical field. And I hope that you've been able to see them across the nation, speaking to the experience and how it is that they've really contributed significantly to the pandemic response. Right on our campus, we have a vaccination clinic, and up to now, we've delivered about 20,000 doses of the vaccine to people who want it. So it's the same type of posture that we would take, putting the safety of our campus community first, but our intention is to be open to our campus community. We also recognize the other side of the pandemic that relates to student mental health. And if you were to poll the students, which we have, they really want to come back.
Yes, I certainly hear that from my students. Well, I know we have so much more ground as well. We're talking now about IT infrastructure, and we did get one question on that. And that question is, when will the Workday ERP overhaul be completed?
So if you move to the next slide, please, Bilal. So our Workday ERP is a pretty heavy lift, especially when we're doing it while we are undergoing a steam plant modernization and all else. But it turns out that we have a really good ground team. And the university currently has 2 ERP systems, our Ellucian system, and you probably know it by the name Banner. And we also have an Oracle product called PeopleSoft on the finance side of things. Banner is used on the student side. In alignment with the Howard Forward strategy, we're moving to one ERP. We want to make sure that everybody is singing from the same sheet of music. And it will help with our customer service response, with our data analytics, with the university's ability to use use data to inform the decisions that we make on our campus when we have all pockets of our data enclosed in one system. So by July of this year, we will be able to go live. And currently, all lights are green, knock on wood, but our teams are working pretty hard. They're now in the testing phase of the Workday implementation, and things are looking good. We've had a few setbacks here and there, largely related to some parts of the university entity not necessarily wanting the solution that is in place, or not knowing or not agreeing on a path forward. So there have been snafus related to really everybody getting along and doing the work in a timely manner. But to be honest with you, for the most part, it's going well. And now we're looking to engage the broader audience of the university in a much more significant manner. There are pockets of the university faculty, staff, mostly, that are currently involved. The student involvement will occur when we roll out the student portion of the interface, but now we're doing human resources and finance first. So by July, we should have that on board.
Okay, that sounds great. We took several questions, I should say, with regards to facilities. Yes. And we know the university's been around since 1867. And many of the buildings have come along, you know, since then. We all know the great history of Howard and its infrastructure and its buildings. And we have several questions that came in about the state of the facilities. So I'd like to share some of those with you as we move on, if that's okay.
Lovely. Can you do the next slide for me, please, Bilal? Thank you.
Okay. So the first question, this is another big one for alumni. What is the scope of renovations to Blackburn? And when will that construction be completed? That's the first one. And we have about 6 here, Dr. Dubroy. Number 2, what is the plan to relocate the Kathy Hughes School of Communications, which of course is housed in the C.B. Powell building, formerly Freedman's Hospital? Number 3, are there any additional efforts to permanently change the dorm room capacity once the country opens up a bit post-pandemic? Kind of tied into one of those earlier questions. The 4th question, is there a campus-wide facility map identifying upcoming construction projects with the start and completion dates? Number 5, due to its historical significance as a landmark, is there any consideration to restore or reopen Howard Hall, which used to host the alumni? And you alumni know this is the old president's house that I think is being referred to here. And then the 6th question in this category under facilities, is it true that there's a generation of our students and alumni population who have never had the chance to use Founders Library due to its state of despair? Would you please provide the scope of renovations pertaining to the library, and how much is the bill? And I don't know, because Founders Library is very much open, maybe they were referring to the undergraduate library, which has been closed for a number of years.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Understood. That makes better sense. Thank you. All right. So it turns out, Bilal, if you go to the next slide, maybe I can. So the questions that you've asked here are pretty involved, and I'm going to do my best. Forgive me that I'm going to sound like I'm rushing, but I'm about to go through a little pictorial overview of our progress that we're making in real estate. And I'll be able to answer the questions specifically within these slides.
Okay.
Our prioritization of the real estate investment has largely started with student housing first. Now, our alumni, I'm sure you are very much aware of how it is that our various residence halls used to look. And I think if you were to come on campus today, you'd be pretty proud of the manner in which we've renovated our facilities, and the noise has quieted in terms of students complaining about residence hall appearances. And the aesthetics have also improved, the functionality has also improved. And compared to even a year ago, or a year and a half ago rather, and 2 years ago, we have made significant strides. Currently, about 90 to 95% of our beds are 5 years or younger. And we are then taking the next phase of our strategy towards academic renewals. So you're gonna hear us talking about the nursing academy and what it is that we're doing there to relocate them, the School of Communications, the STEM buildings, and what we're going to do to renovate that corridor, and building out a new fine arts and com building. And throughout this presentation, I'll do my best to hit on all of them. Next slide. So if you look across the campus, and our real estate team did a little mini map here, but you should be able to orient yourselves if you look towards the leftmost dotted line, contiguous dotted line along Georgia Avenue. And then moving back towards the residence halls that as you go closer towards the dam. We have already started the renovation of Douglas Hall, and that should be complete by August of this year. And our students and faculty and staff will come back into absolutely beautiful facilities. I've got a few photos to show you there. The minor renovation will be completed as well, but not this year. By 2022, that's what our look forward is like. And the minor building, as you know, it's a historic building that was primarily used to house the Department of Education. And that's our intention, to move the education department back in that building. So we're working on that. Other types of upgrades include the undergraduate library, a new STEM complex, arts and communication center, etc. I'll walk through a few photos so that you can see the pictorial overview in a better manner. Next slide. Here it is for the IRB clean room. Only the scientists want to hear about this, but we are upfitting an IRB in the interdisciplinary research building. We are upfitting our own clean room, and this will serve also as a revenue stream for us, in addition to having our researchers be able to use the clean room for extensive research. It's going to be a very outstanding unit and best in class. So I know that we're going to have other university researchers that will want to come and use the space. We're going to have an SEM microscope in there. Electromagnetic shielding is going to be in place. And the core functions of the building are supporting the grant-funded research areas. Next. Here's what the undergraduate library looks like currently, and we are exceptionally proud of the space. As you can imagine, I remember over the years, even when I got here, Dr. Frederick would let alumni know we're going to be renovating the undergraduate library, and I'm sure you know that over time the questions were when. And it has been outstanding to be able to get the opportunity to create critical mass now that so many people are off campus. I don't think we would have been able to accelerate the projects like we're currently doing if we had a significant campus density. We're taking advantage of the time that the campus density has been reduced to do the major construction projects that would have disrupted this business continuity if we were doing them at within the usual ebb and flow of the semester. And I'll show you more pictures of the undergraduate library space, but it's about 92,000 square feet, multiple floors. We'll have archives within the undergraduate library, climate controlled archive area. We will certainly outfit it with the appropriate technology, and it's a space that is more usable. It's what I'd call the neo-library setting. So it's a modernized library. Can you eat inside this library? Absolutely. But you got to clean it up. All you have to do is clean up and make sure that we're able to use the library over time. But we want students to feel as if they can sit in the library, commune, eat, work, play, whatever it may be in the library setting, and be able to collaborate with each other and have, we also have quiet spaces in the library as well, but they are segmented from the major population. Next. Just a few other pictures of how it is that we modernize the space, exceptional lighting in various pockets of the UGL. And I know that I hope that you'll be proud of the renovation that was completed. Next. It
looks beautiful. I just want to add, as someone who spent time in the old undergraduate library, yes. This is just, it's amazing.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. All right, next slide. For the Frederick Douglass Memorial Hall renovation, you're going to like Douglass Hall. I don't have, actually, yeah, they're the black and white photos now. I don't know why the team didn't make it color, but they probably didn't want you to see exactly what it looks like right now, but I'm not embarrassed. You got to go through some stuff in order to come out looking beautiful. And so here we are renovating the Douglass Hall. If you remember, this is one of the buildings that was significantly damaged when we had the steam plant rupture. And so we are now using this opportunity to create more flexible classrooms, collaborative workspaces, It will primarily house quite a few of the divisions that are traditional divisions in COAS, political science, space, history, English, etc. And that is slated to be completed by August of this year, as I mentioned. It's a $30.5 million investment in our campus space. Next. There's our more pictures. I'm assuming that the artist in them used black and white and then color to show the future. But you're seeing that we have preserved some of the historic finishes in there. Derek Williams, some of you may know him. He's an alum of the university and is very instrumental in the real estate development on our campus. And so, you know, his voice has really helped in terms of us renovating this space and creating some a functional space, but also respecting the traditions of our university. And Dr. Frederick's voice is just as instrumental in that as well. But I want you to understand that these renovations are collaborative. When we are hosting town halls, we do so with our faculty and with our staff and with our students to gain their input in what the spaces should look like. So we held those types of sessions during the renovation process. Next. The Axis is another space. You would have known it as the Howard Inn, and now it houses a new residence hall space for mostly for graduate and professional students, but some of our undergrads have gotten the benefit of being in there. But it's also a space that's reserved for faculty and staff as well. So we do have a few faculty members and staff members who live there. And it's also, I love this part of our campus because it is significantly tied to the IRB. Starbucks coffee gets all my money, but our bookstore is there, and it's exceptionally functional. But it's an entree into what we're going to do along Georgia Avenue. Over about maybe 2 to 3 years' time, you're going to see Georgia Ave transformed. So come and visit often, because if you're nostalgic and you're looking for us to look just like we've looked before, you may be a bit disappointed. But if you're looking for a neo version that's mixed with the historic traditions, that's what you'll be able to see when you come back to Georgia Avenue to see this corridor. The facade at Wanda Plaza is being updated. The Bond Record building as well, that's gonna get a total gutting and facelift with a hybrid environment where people are living there. There's going to be retail, and we may have a student wellness center over there as well. But don't tell our students yet. I don't want to hear, Dr. Dubroy, when is it coming? And Dr. Frederick certainly doesn't want to hear that every day either. But it's in the plans, and that's what the intention is. We have, you know how it is when with real estate, plans morph. So I'm not here to promise anything, but I'm just here to tell you what it is that we're thinking about. Next slide. And so it is, this is what the Axis looks like. You can scroll through these slides. There you go, the lobby of the Axis. Next slide. Here's what a studio unit looks like. Somebody didn't make their bed well, but you get the concept. Next slide. And these are functional spaces that students can be noisy in. So you're seeing how it is that, you know, we added a few games and they're able to commune. And at the same time, they can use it to conference with each other. Next. All right, so the quad got a total renovation. I must say that I really enjoyed my time here at Howard, but it's been grueling. I can't lie. Sure. I am not about to lie, Dr. Thomas. So when I first got here and I was introduced to the quad, it was not yet renovated. I went into Dr. Frederick's office. I said, okay, Dr. Frederick, so, you know, when are we going to renovate it? And he said, all right, let's plan it. And you know, we did. Luckily, it was already, his team was already planning the renewal for all of the residence hall spaces. So I inherited that project. And it's a beautiful project. So there were some people who were saying, meaning alumni, who were saying they wanted to maintain the integrity of the quad. The students said absolutely not. So if you go on the inside, it certainly doesn't look like anything that you were accustomed to. But from as far as the facade and the structure is concerned, the bones of the building are absolutely, you know, robust. And so we maintain that. But then you see that we've put in a 21st century influence with these glass connectors between each area of the quad. And it's been beautiful just to watch how it is that students can move between buildings. And our students haven't gotten to fully experience all of the connectors just yet because they were phased in. But I'll scroll through a few of the slides so that you can see what the inside looks like. So this is what it looks like from the street view. Go on to the next one, please. And entryways have been upgraded. Tiling has been upgraded along with the hardwood flooring as well. Next. And here is what the interior of our residence spaces look like. And I'll tell you this, our ladies can decorate much better than we have here. Example, next. Oh, this is back to the UGL, but this was prior to furniture being placed in there. Next. You can skip through. Douglas, skip through, please. Keep on going. All right, so here I mentioned the bond bread facility and what it is at the Georgia, Herb One facility and what it is at the Georgia corridor will look like. If you notice, CVS is in the background there. We are holding on to our real estate. It is well known in the district that Dr. Frederick doesn't want to sell any of our real estate, but we will do a long-term lease to afford us the business opportunity to reap the benefits of that long-term lease in a shortest period of time. Meaning now, and then over time, we'll be able to have, sometimes it's a 50-year lease, a 98-year lease. It varies depending on what the opportunity provides. So you can expect that as we build out these structures, we're going to be exploring the modern mechanisms of the architecture. Next. And here's the bond bread, the Reco building. So I know I keep on saying that, and I hope that you know exactly which building that I'm speaking of, but it's on Georgia Avenue, right across the street from the hospital, and close to the Howard parking lot, where we usually have our
tailgating.
Exactly. Tailgating. I didn't even want to say the word. I can't say it anymore. I missed the tailgating experience, and I know that some of you miss it too. But that's where we usually have the tailgate, you know, we will be modernizing this building very soon. We'll be able to break ground on that. And I won't give out all of the secrets, but we're also looking into what real estate plots can we acquire in our surrounding space, because we're looking to ensure that Howard University is a significant real estate owner. So we'll continue to do that. And as the plans develop, Dr. Frederick will be able to announce those purchases. Next. All right, you can move on to the next one. There's views there. That's an idea of, you know what, actually, let me not skip that. Back one, please. So we are also looking into what type of facilities we can have for our students. As I've mentioned, we make quite a few proposals. Some of them include wellness centers. Usually we're also talking about what type of residence hall facilities we can build out, etc. Next. And then, of course, when you must have heard that we are have now partnered with Adventist at the hospital. And as we build out our hospital complex, we're also building a new academic medical center with that, where all of our professional schools will be housed. And so this is just a rendering of the possibilities. Next. And you notice that it is on our main campus. So here's what I want to show you. You know, keep it on that, Bilal. I want to show the good and the bad. So when we are looking to do our renovations, this is actually Blackburn right now. So don't be alarmed. As I said, you got to go through a renewal and a rebirth. And sometimes the rebirth, you know, is not, so this is the uncute side of the rebirth. But we have gutted the Blackburn building, and we are also putting in new flooring, ceilings, lighting, the infrastructure is being upgraded. So there may be portions of the building where if you were to go in there right now, you'd see that we've gutted so that we can improve the plumbing, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing infrastructure in those buildings as well. So we continue to take care of that space, putting in new sprinkler systems, etc. And then the next slide. This is what the lounge will look like. We have photos of the renderings. So forgive me that I don't have any real photos to show now, but the photos that you just saw are the real ones, and we'll be able to see our Hilltop Lounge reimagined pretty shortly. That should be delivered. It was slated to be delivered by May of this year, but during the pandemic, it has been very difficult for us to get permits from the district within the usual timelines. So we've been at the mercy of DOEE with regards to the permitting that we received. So I think it will be extended on into the summertime. Next. Okay. All right, so this is a trigger slide for me. As you can imagine, this is what our campus looked like when the steam plant debacle occurred. And so since then, we have improved significantly. And so I want to show you a photo of what my staff said to me, Dr. Dubroy. We had seen pipes burst all about the campus. There were mechanical rooms that looked absolutely terrible. If you are in the business and you were to walk into the mechanical room, it would not have been anything that you would have been proud of. And these are things that we inherited. And we, when you don't have the money to tend to deferred maintenance all in one bite of the apple, you have to take it 1 year at a time. And so we've been intentional with our strategy to tend to the deferred maintenance that we have on the campus. We've done it in a number of ways. I'm showing you some of the renewals that we've done, the renovations that we've done. So we've taken buildings offline, and in other cases, we've had to have our faculty and staff continue business within the spaces. And sometimes it's uncomfortable because the facilities team is having to renovate around student and faculty and staff activity, but it pays off. The PFM staff said to me, Dr. Dubroy, in one guy in particular, Robert, can you go to the next slide, please? He came from the Marriott Hotel, and he showed me these photos of the Marriott Hotel. And he said, Dr. Dubroy, this is where we need to be. I want to make sure that Howard University's facilities look like this. And it was absolutely a very stark contrast between what we had in our mechanical rooms and where he wanted to take us. Next slide, please. I went down to the School of Business mechanical room the other day. This is what our School of Business mechanical room looks like. And so it's not fully complete. We have to put our directional arrows and all of the piping, outflow and influx of water, etc. But we've got some work to do to complete this. But look at how far we've come. And I know that, there are other people who are on this call thinking, I'm not excited about this, but this is really exciting for me because it is demonstrative of, the care that the facilities team is putting into these workspaces. And we often ignore the bones of the buildings. And that's why we had a steam picture, right? But we're not ignoring it. We're paying attention, and there's more than one of our buildings that are currently have been, outfitted in this manner, and we'll just continue to do that over time. But the facilities team is paying attention. I think we have one of the best in the business, and I want you to notice something else, how clean the mechanical room is. That wasn't the reality when I got here. I would go down there, be trash everywhere. Oh, Lord. But it demonstrates neglect. So to see how the team has been working to transform this has been absolutely fantastic over time. Next. And we're doing bathroom renovations as well. So, at the top of the call, somebody asked, what can alumni fund? How about you help me fund these bathrooms? Because nobody, I haven't heard a donation that has come through as yet to talk about funding Howard University's restroom facilities, but this gets us excited. And we, in the School of Social Work, for example, you'll see that they've renovated their multiple buildings on our campus have new restroom facilities. The A building is about to get their facelift. Dr. Frederick intentionally ensured that, you know, the facelifts happen across the campus first before anything happens in the A building. And it's just a demonstration of leadership, ensuring that the campus community feels that they are being taken care of instead of our offices being renovated or anything like that. So we've taken that type of mantra and inserted it in various pockets of the university. Next. All right, so any other questions?
Yes, and oh, go ahead, Dr. Dubroy.
No, what you got for me?
Okay, yes. I was just going to say thank you for sharing those photos, because it's really, you know, you hear about it. With COVID, of course, we haven't been on campus, but even for all the alumni that hear about the renovations, it's one thing to hear about it, it's another to see it. So that's very, very helpful. So thank you for that. So we did not.
I neglected to. I got a text a while ago saying I neglected to answer questions about communications.
Oh, and how could I forget, being that that's my school?
Can you? Yes.
So the School of Communications, and there's been talk about with partnering with fine arts, and us, you know. So yes, can you mention that?
Fantastic. So our immediate response to moving the School of Communications is that we're currently looking for vetting locations within the district to move or temporarily move our communications, our School of Communications, because we need to get our faculty, staff, and students out of our current building. It is in a state of disrepair, and I'll just be honest by saying that. And so we're paying attention. We know that it's on our high priority list to be renovated. So that's what the intention is initially, to locate, to find a location that is close by our campus within the district that is still functional for our needs. And then in short order, we will be building the Art and Communication Center. And there has been significant interest for alumni, actually, especially those that are in the media industry, in the acting industry. And so I don't want to steal Dr. Frederick's or VP Bennett's thunder, but we have gained mileage in that arena, and we anticipate that we will be able to build out the Arts and Com Center. And I was asked about being able to identify upcoming construction projects. To be honest with you, we have not published a presentation like this, for example, but we are working now with the district to get our master plan approved. We have a hearing on April 5th. If it's not April 5th, forgive me, but I know that it's early April, but it's coming up, and we will be able to publish our master plan after that. But prior to that, it has to be approved by the district. Howard Hall was another question. Mm-hmm. And I must be honest, given what I just described, we have a prioritization. So remember at the top of the questions, I spoke about the prioritization, and we are now in the academic prioritization phase. Yes. So if I was allocated unrestricted funding to help attack deferred maintenance, and I was asked for a recommendation on what it should be spent on, I would not have placed Howard Hall at the top of that prioritization list, because the reality is that we have academic spaces that are used much more frequently, mm-hmm. that need to be addressed. So at the same time, we want to ensure that the building isn't crumbling, because we don't want a situation where we have another, structure on our campus that is in a state of extreme disrepair. So we've leveraged funding from various federal agencies that have funded landmarks on HBCU campuses in particular. We've gotten funding for Founders Hall, and we've also used funding to bolster the infrastructure at Howard Hall. So we're doing a restoration on the front porch, restoration of railing in the back, and our president also asked us to do a historic walking app as well. It's unrelated to the restorations, but it does help to add an element of knowledge to visitors of the campus, and they can get to learn more about the history, who walked our halls, etc. So we'll be able to use that as a true complement.
That's a great idea. And also there's so many alumni who also have those bricks that lead up to Howard Hall too, that are personalized. And some have asked about, are those bricks going to continue? Is that still something that alumni may be able to take part in?
I have no intention of touching anyone's bricks. I don't want them to throw it at me. So no, I will not touch it. As far as right now, the removal of the brick is not in the master plan.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I know we only have literally about 5 minutes left. We do have a few questions. We did not get questions regarding business continuity or enterprise risk management. We did get a question pertaining to safety and campus police. So if I can find that. A couple of questions. How has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted and changed the university's emergency management and preparedness program? And the second, now that Howard has an alumna who is the Vice President of the United States, has any thought been given to honoring her with something such as an example that was given at Kamala Harris Library?
All right. So
messenger here.
Right. So I'll tackle the first one. In terms of our pandemic response, I'll be honest, we did not have a pandemic response in our emergency response plan. So we had to add it pretty quickly. And I guess one of the lessons that we've learned out of this pandemic is exactly what our campus's needs are. But I would say that we would give ourselves a strong A for the response and how quickly we stood up the virtual environment on the university's campus. If this pandemic occurred 2 years ago, it would have been pretty difficult for us to stand up a virtual environment so quickly. But it goes back to having a vision and executing a vision over time. The IBM deal that we have now resulted in us standing up a network core in 2017, around September of 2017. And over time, we have transformed our network, building transformations. In 2017, we had analog phones, and over time we transformed to voice over IP. The same thing with the network capacity on our campus, with our data housing. And I'm talking about the parts of the infrastructure, but then there are practices that have had to evolve as well in terms of our cybersecurity. And over time, we've been able to build a more robust virtual environment. And so standing it up really was not a difficult feat for the university to accomplish. And then, of course, the tougher parts were related to how do we ensure that the students have the tools that they need in order to learn. And the reality is that we had to ship out laptops to our students, to some of our faculty, staff, etc., aided by some philanthropic investments that we got from our alumni, actually, especially at the top of the pandemic, and through corporate investment as well. So if a student needed a device, they were able to receive it. We also distributed hardship grants to our students, etc. But the learnings have been plenty. And we have been able to deploy all kinds of safety measures related to personal safety, meaning what kind of PPE will we ask our students to use when they come back on campus. We're going to provide hand sanitizers to them, not only personal or pocket-sized hand sanitizers in these little welcome back packets, but also they have hand sanitizer stations and hand washing stations all throughout the campus. Our signage is very robust, and those signs can remain there permanently. Given the number of strains that we're seeing of COVID-19, we may be the pandemic, we may be in the pandemic, but a different phase of the pandemic for a while. And let's see what else was asked. About celebrating the celebration of VP Harris is way above my pay grade. But I would say that we have honored her in the virtual environment in a couple of ways. I hope you were able to see that CNN and NBC featured the ringing of the bell.
Yes.
That was completed right here on our campus. And so it's been really an experience for us while on campus. She actually visited our campus very frequently and was housed on our campus for quite some time prior to elevating to the position in the White House. So she's been quite a staple on our campus, and we've been proud of that. So another reason to have the history app, so that we can speak about the gravitas of Howard University and her alumni.
Absolutely. Well, we're literally right at 7:30, Dr. Dubroy, and I know there were a couple of questions left. I don't know if we should hold that till the next time, or if you want to finalize the last couple that we had. I'll let you.
Right. Tell you what, I'm a stickler for time, but I'm gonna go through the slides since I want to make sure that our alumni have something to brag about. So let's walk through sustainability really quickly. Oh, this is our DPS response. What part of our DPS response in the Return for Campus, and you can download the app that our students, faculty, and staff are using. It's called Bison Safe. Go one up. I have it. Fantastic. So that it's actually in the App Store. You can see what it is that we're up to from a DPS perspective. Slide through, please. All right, next. Next. Okay, the steam plant modernization. I couldn't do a presentation without showing it. That's what keeps me up at night. Next. but it is important to note that the steam plant modernization itself is the most significant manner in which Howard University will reduce its carbon footprint, and we're making our own energy. So it's a combined heat and power plant. We're going to be talking about it for quite some time. It's one of about 13 or so in the district. Volt Energy, an alum of ours, is certainly to be lauded for the effort that we're doing here, because we have placed quite a few of solar panels on the roofs of our buildings, and in total it will account for about 500 kilowatts hours. But it says here by the end of 2020, but there are still some transformations being done. Next. But Gilbert Campbell is at Volt Energy. He's the CEO there. And these are just showing photos of what we've been doing. Next. There you go. We're also doing stormwater management projects from a sustainability perspective. And I think that's the last of the slides that I had. And the metering projects as well. This is critical for us because now we're putting individual meters on each of our buildings. You can't change what you don't measure. So we're ensuring that we're measuring our carbon footprint, and then we'll be able to plan how it is that our sustainability response morphs over time and in accordance with our forward strategy. And I think that slide wraps it up.
Okay, well, I just want to thank you so much again, Dr. Dubroy. You covered so much ground in this presentation, and we just thank you for taking time to share, to be transparent. I know there may still be other questions. I know the one big question everyone has been asking me, are we going to have homecoming? That's the last question I had. I know a lot of people were like, please ask about homecoming. Please ask about homecoming.
So this is easy for me to say because I can easily point towards district law. How about that? So right now, we are in the phase of the district's opening where you can have more than about 50 people gather in one setting. And so it doesn't bode well for homecoming unless we don't have a homecoming for 50 of us, and and we do it over jazz and some Cheetos. Then it would just be a party of 50. But in terms of a formal response, I would await our president and VP Bennett's notification to the campus community if it hasn't been done already.
And on that note, just as a reminder to all the alumni, please make sure you stay tuned and get all of the information. The university sends out communications updates to alumni quite regularly. I know from my understanding, there will be another conversation in a few weeks with the provost. So as you continue to have questions, continue to respond and send them in as you did. I want to thank all of you for joining us. Dr. Dubroy, again, thank you. Thank you to the Department of Alumni Relations. And just be safe, Bison, and we will see you next time. Thank you again, Dr. Dubroy.
Thanks for having me.
Take good care.